Hey guys, we're going to go over a few different tutorials about tweens today. Some of the first ones I'm going to show you is going to be what's called a classic tween, which is basically going to take two poses, point A and point B, and be able to move between those points or those keyframes without having to create every single motion for every single frame. Another thing we'll show is a shape tween, which is basically taking an object and being able to morph it from point A to point B and maybe point C, and being able to morph it from those different shapes and colors and locations with just creating what's called a shape tween. The last one is creating a text and being able to follow a text and make the text actually move between frames by creating a path for that text and being able to, something's happened here, and be able to make this animation word follow this path from point A to point B just by creating what's called a motion guide. So we're going to go through these different steps here in our animation tutorial today. And this is going to be something that you will practice, render, and turn in as a project. So let's go to File, New. Make sure you're using ActionScript 3.0. And let's first start off by renaming this first layer. I'm going to name it Classic. This is real simple. I'm going to take a simple shape and draw that shape out. I'm going to move it to the corner. And once I do that, you see that it creates a keyframe here. I want these to be 2 seconds long. So I'm going to go to 48th frame, hit F6, and now I have my second keyframe. So on frame 48, what I want to do is take that and I'm going to move it to another area. So now it goes from there to there. Not very smooth motion there. I want to fill in some smooth animation in between. So this is pose to pose right now. Two major keyframes, two different areas. Now I need to fill in this extra space here with more poses. Well, since nothing is really changing except for the location of this object, let's say it's clouds moving from one side of the sky to the other, then what I can do is set my point A, my point B, and then in between, I'm going to right click and choose Create Classic Tween. So now I've got all of that space is now filled in. Time saver, right? It's going to be killer when it comes to creating some simple motions and movements for basic shapes and objects. All right, I'm going to hide the visibility and lock that layer. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to double click, title this one Shape, or if I learn how to spell right, there we go, Shape. Frame 1, I'll start off with the shape of your choice. I'm going to put it up here this time. Frame 24, press F6. That's not 24. Frame 24, press F6. All right, I'm actually going to delete this off of frame 24. It's still between frames 1 and 23. 24 is now blank. When on frame 24, I selected it. I'm going to create a new shape. I'm going to change that star to a polygon. I'm going to change the colors, and I want you to do the same. I don't want a 10-sided polygon. Let's make it 3-sided. Okay. Change the color, and I'm going to put it in a different location. It's going to be down here this time. So there we go. All right, so now my new keyframe is held until all the way to the end. I'm going to create another keyframe down here on frame 48 and press F6. And I'm actually going to delete this shape off of that new keyframe. And I'm going to find another shape, another color, and another location up here. And I'm actually going to move that a little bit higher. There we go. Oh, that was terrible. Make sure you grab the whole thing. There we go. And move it up there. All right. So A, B, C. 3 different shapes, 3 different colors, 3 different locations. I want this animation to show pose to pose. Again, I want it to go from this shape to this shape, from this shape to this shape, but in a way smoother fashion. So I'm going to right click in between point A and B and go to create shape tween. I'm going to go between B and C and right click and create shape tween. So now, as I scrub through, I guess I should say, it's going to go from shape A to B to C. Animate kind of fills in all the in-betweens. Okay, certain objects can be really complicated and require a lot of computing for Animate to be able to figure out. So these are typically used on kind of simple transformations, nothing really too complex. Otherwise, you're going to end up having to do a lot more manual framework in between rather than relying on Animate to figure it all out. So that is shape tweening. I'm going to hide and lock that layer now. Create a new one, and this one I want to call just path. And here's what I want to do. I want to take that first frame, I'm going to create text, and I'm going to type something out. Ooh, animate. Good. And let's change a different color. I've already used that one, so let's go with orange. Cool. So I've gotten that set. It's already set up for 48 frames like my previous layers. I want this to follow along a path that I want to create, almost like a roller coaster. So I want to right click on this and go to add classic motion guide. Notice that it creates a new layer here, and on that layer I want to use my pencil tool and I want to draw a path that I want this text to follow. And so I want this text to do a little loop-de-loop, go this way, maybe do another loop-de-loop, and come down here. All right, so here I'm going back to my text layer now. I've got it set here in one place. I want to use my select tool. I want to make sure that this is selected right here, snap to object. And what I want to do is on frame, actually, I'm going to go back to frame 1. I want to snap this and see when I drag this, there's a little circle that shows up right around the M on my text. I want to snap that right there. That's why you want that horseshoe magnet selected. Let's snap it right there to the path. I'm going to go out here to frame 48, press F6. But for this frame, I want this to snap to the end of the path, that way. Now, in between, now that's not very smooth. In between, what I want it to do is I want to right click here and create classic tween. So now, when I scrub through, done correctly, it will follow that path that I've assigned to it. So that's pretty cool. If you have animated animals, objects, things that are moving in a random path that you want to control, this is the way to do it. So I can then go back and I can also alter that path, if I wanted to, and move it around, and Animate's going to make it so that it will follow that path anyways. So you can adjust it how you need to. Animate will adjust. Okay, so that is a little bit about tweening. I've got 3 different tweens here. If I go to practice, or not practice, but test this scene out, see what I get. Everything is going crazy. So go ahead and render this out, and I'm going to go to File, Export Video. Make sure this is unchecked. Choose your H drive and rename this with your name and Tweens. So actually put your name, your actual name, and Tweens, and then